everyone, Coach James with you again for Teaching Tuesday. We're getting closer to the golf season. I can feel it coming. We just need a little bit more warm weather. So in the meantime, we're down in the simulators and we're going to work on our setup, another fundamental that we want to have really on lockdown before we get outside. So a couple key things for the setup. When we're hitting an iron, I've got just a mid-iron here. We want this golf ball to be more or less centered in our stance. A little bit forward is fine. I tend to have the golf ball a little bit forward of center, but we definitely don't want it getting up here towards our front foot, and back of center is just going to create some compensations and some low shots that we don't want. Okay, so let's make sure we keep that golf ball nice and centered. Another couple things to think about when we set up is our distance from the golf ball. So I'll show you from this direction. One good benchmark is having your wrist generally under your shoulder. Okay, so if I drew a straight line down from my shoulder, that's where my wrist is going to be. I see a lot of people that like to reach out for the golf ball like this. Too much space in here. That's going to create some compensations with the swing. Less often, but sometimes you still see it, is people who get their hands really low and in between their legs here. This is, again, we're going to have to do some weird stuff with our swing to create a good shot. Okay, so when we set up, we're going to have the golf ball in the middle of our stance, our wrists under our shoulders, and as much as we can, we're going to try to have a nice flat lower back. A lot of people will curve the upper back. That's okay, not as important. But if we can have a nice flat low back, we're going to avoid injury and we're going to be able to turn really well. Okay, so we've got three things to think about then when you're practicing your setup. Let's get the ball position slightly forward of center with a mid-iron. Let's get the wrist under the shoulders, okay, hanging straight down under our shoulders. And let's get a nice flat low back to prevent injury and to create some good rotation. Okay, so if you can do those three things with your setup, you're going to be off to a great start for the season.